Hello, what's up, guys? So, today I'm going to talk about some of the SQL queries we should regularly be aware of for extensive data analysis and to be able to, make proper, especially with investment or financial data, we should be able to make proper investment analysis. And of course, like we make, if we just go select star from this, it should not always be complex. It should be something that's understandable and that makes our data set easier to understand. So for example, if it is a data set with so many columns, we get lots of company data sets, we should be able to do it all in minutes. We should be able to all figure out in minutes. But of course, with such a huge data set, I mean, although it's just 40 rows, but with such a huge data set, it's sometimes hard to, figure out things and, find out the categories which is preferred in what category. So if it's in trading company, they want to know customers or the people who come to them for trading purpose, for figuring about their mutual funds and stuff. How exactly would they be able to do so? What are the factors that they select? What are the factors that the people confirm before actually making an investment into a mutual fund, or before hiring someone for the same and stuff like that? So for that purpose, we should be able to make investment analysis. We should be able to figure out market factors for the same, of course, to be a successful mutual fund assistant. And for that purpose, I'm just probably going to give a kickstart, or at least like help out in that, to be able to figure out how to utilize SQL for the same. Usually we don't use it extensively for such kind of analysis. Maybe we would prefer different softwares. We would prefer Python. We would prefer maybe making a regression analysis. Maybe we would prefer Excel or whatever. But let's just try how it will come out using SQL, because nothing is impossible. You can try it out using SQL as well. So this is what I'm going to do today. So first, I would like to figure out what is the average of all the mutual funds, equity, debentures, over all the people, regardless of their gender and stuff. So what is a query that I will write? So it would just be as simple as it would just be the average of all of these. If I want to find average returns, regardless of the gender, the female, the investment avenues, duration, or whatever. So let's just run this and let's see. Okay, 28. So overall, this is the average, the number of, uh, you know, uh, average number that each person is like probably investing in and stuff like that, or throughout the data set, we can say. Okay. Now, probably you might get a question of how to do it by gender. So, investment by gender. Okay. So clearly that means that I would want to look into this data set based on the gender specific criteria, like which group has, invested in how much of mutual funds, of government bonds, debentures, based on what factor and so on. So I will just, write the query for the same. So as you can see, this is it. And you select gender, average of mutual funds, average of equity, average of this. Now, whenever you find average or sum or any other aggregate function, it's always necessary to include a group by function. So, for example, if you do it without the group by, basically, let's try running it without that. It will throw an error because it's an aggregate function and there was no group by clause. So what you have to do is you have to include group by gender as it is, and you will have to execute it, and then you will be able to get according to each category, for mutual funds, equity market, whatever is there, whatever assets are there, trading assets, you'll get the stuff based on female and male respectively. So next I'm going to find cumulative investments by age. Actually, this is something that I'm going to show based on um, how exactly we use the over function. Over is basically window clause, the window function that is there in SQL. You use so and so average over so and so partition and so on. So how exactly are we going to use it is how I will show you now. It's just that I'm trying to show how exactly we can use it in SQL, like how to use such functions, what is the use of it in our case, and generally in SQL, how should we use it? So I select the age first, then the average over partition by age. I'm partitioning each of these by age, and then ordering by age. Mutual funds, equity, debentures. So I'm finding the average. This is window function. I'm finding the average. I'm doing it over partition by age, and then I'm also ordering by age, so that according to each age, like according to 21, 22, 20, it will come accordingly. And as cumulative average mutual fund. So I'm just finding cumulative based on each age, cumulative of each mutual funds, equity, debentures, government bonds, so based on each of the ages that I have in the data set. So when I run it, it will be as follows: order by age, and this is what we get. So here we find out that for a lot of the categories, cumulative is really not required, clearly, because data sets, the numbers are repeating. But here we can see that no, actually for 35. So yeah, so basically it was not required, and we can't use group by either because it will throw some error. So basically we just get to know that we should just look at the second row of each age. So in 21 it's showing 6, 3, 5, 4. This was the total that was invested in each group. Then in 23, in 22 it is one row, 23 is one row. In 24, look at the last row. Here we can see this is the cumulative that is invested by this group. Then by 26, look at the last row. This is how much it is invested by 26 age group. So like that you need to check. Like that is how I'm just showing how we use the cumulative function or the window function for this data set. But generally it should just be like, I just wrote it twice. It should just be used for purposes where you don't have to repeat it again and again. Maybe in case there are questions like whether the employee salary is according to the budget or not. So sometimes what you'll have to do is you have to find sum of the employee salary, of course partition by their ID or department or whatever, because some departments or based on seniority the budget will be different. Based on junior employees the budget will be different. So according to that you will have to do some over partition by employee ID and order by this employee ID, and then you put that in CTE. Then you go to next, select star from CTE, and there you find out where the where the salary is less than the budget. You put so and so criteria. So basically it's just usually used for checking whether it's in budget, or if there is some criteria where you have to find cumulative stuff, like maybe overall a particular category, how many times did they invest in a particular thing. You find accumulation of all, or how many times repetitive purchases were made, finding accumulation of that. So there are many other uses of this. Here I'm just showing how to use it based on each age category for this data set. Now again I'm going to do a similar analysis where I experiment using gender, age, duration, all these, and for better understanding how these factors are correlated, what each gender category is doing for each duration, for each age and stuff like that. So like we are just amalgamating factors and we are finding out more precise analysis for the same. So just let me write it down. As I already told, I've written these queries, so I'm just going to show you guys the concept behind it, the reasoning behind it. So it's like these are the duration, this is the female. Of course you need to first write the column so that we can group by later, and then duration, gender, age. So initially it will group based on duration, 1 to 3 years duration, then based on genders, respective genders. So for female genders different group, for male genders different group, and then by age. So for each female, whatever group is there, 21, 24, 25, whatever, and for male also whatever group is there respectively, they will do all that and they will find out the sum. So here we didn't do count, we didn't do this thing. It's just that we just found the sum of all the mutual funds that are there based on each of these group by functionalities that we have written. Okay, you don't have to be like very precise, you don't have to be like scared, okay, how is it going to be based on duration, gender, age. SQL will do it on its own. You just should have that idea of what you want it grouped by. Next we are going to find out how do we make pivot tables, but without using cross tab and all those functionalities that are inbuilt in SQL basically. Maybe PostgreSQL or other software, whatever you're using. Here we're just going to use a case function and we're going to find out how exactly we can find the count of mutual funds invested into equity market, debentures, whatever number is there, we are going to find out based on gender and the objective that they have got, like what objective they are doing it. So let's just write it down. So here it is. We are just I'd already written it. I'm just going to explain how we use it. Select gender objective. We have to select these two so that we can end up using it for gender for grouping by later, because whenever there is a sum function there has to be something against it to be able to group by with, right? Because of course we have got gender, we have got objective, these two columns. These will be used to group these sums basically, group all of this. So how will this work? Let's try it out. Execute. So I'm just trying to see when mutual funds, that number of mutual funds is more than 0, well and good, then 1, else 0 as count, and then I'm finding sum of all those ones, as simple as that. So that will give me the count of mutual funds. Similarly for other things also, so count of mutual funds based on objective and female. So here we can clearly find out female, how many females. This is so precise actually, how many females do it based on growth, and females who have the objective of growth have the highest, actually have the same in all the categories, but females who do it based on capital appreciation also have the same in all the categories. But okay, so basically they have got similar answers in all the categories, but at least we can compare against each other. Like we can say that, okay, females have a different number, males have a different number. You can do even more analysis. You can even include other columns, maybe risk columns or whatever is there in the data set, and do further analysis for this. But here I'm just like doing based on genders and stuff like that. Then afterwards, I'll just go for the next query. So you're just gonna use the group by function. It will do it automatically. It will sum it up along with that, and that's all. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but experimenting using age groups. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing, except I'm going to group them based on each of the age groups so that it's more clear to understand what age group prefers what. Because precisely, if you want, you can explore this type of queries. If you want, you can also do age group classification. For that, we'll use case function. So let's just write it down. So we just take this, we do it like that, and we find out count star over partition by as gender count. So if you want to do it based on gender over partition by duration gender, we can do that. Take all both of these because we're going to group by that for the analysis, and you're going to end as age group. So you take case when age between 20 and 30, because we observed in the data set there are many 20s, 30s, 40s and all. So according to that, we go and classify when the age is between 20 and 30, then 2030 should be the name of the column. When age is between this and this, then this should be, else it should be 41 plus. And end it, because end is the most important part. You start with case, you end with that. End as age group. Age group is the name of the column that we are going to give to this entirely. Okay, this is not the name of the column, this is basically the age group name. I'm sorry about the previous thing. And this is going to be the age group name. This is going to be the name of the column after we do the entire case thing. Then afterwards, comma, sum all of these up. Okay, and so the thing is, what we are doing, let me run and show you, then only you'll understand. We are finding out gender count. Okay, this is basically just based on the duration and the gender. We are finding out gender count. This is separate. What we are doing here is based on this what we say summing up thing has happened based on whatever our group by function is saying. So based on duration, based on gender, and based on these age groups. Okay, we can't write age, this column name age group here as it is, because otherwise it will throw an error. It will be like, okay, you have what is, because age group is not defined according to SQL. So let me make it more clear. I'll just remove this. I'll write it a bit down so that I can write it later, and then I use age group as it is, group by age group. If I run this, it will throw an error. See, like invalid column, because it's saying that we don't know. Hey, it's not defined. Okay, so you just defined it in your query above, but here it's not defined. So what we'll have to take is, we'll have to take this entire case and then we'll have to put it here, and then yeah, just run it and it will come correctly. So here we can see that it's just showing correctly the mutual fund count, all these counts. What was shown above, it's just showing the same. It's just that age group is used, and I have added an extra column for gender count, where this is totally separate. This is specifically based on partition by duration. So according to each duration, 1 to 3 years, according to female, male partition, whatever. I'm finding out how many are there. So clearly it's two males, two females for 1 to 3 respectively, and for this it's 2 respectively, and for less than 1 year, clearly, yeah. So duration is basically duration of the investment and how long they are, like, in keeping the investment for and stuff. So yeah, long term, short term, whatever. We can clearly see the categories are divided equally among females and males. When we see the age group further, we can see that clearly, in this age group, this is the highest. In this age group, this seems to be the highest. So stuff like that, you can, granularly assess the data and figure out insights that you wouldn't otherwise be able to figure out if you had the raw data as it is, as I showed initially. Next, we'll find out the reasoning behind each of the particular things. So here we can see that there are columns listed: reason, equity, reason, mutual reason, blah blah blah. So we'll just going to find out the count of each of these columns, okay? So that we can, better understand reasoning behind each of the investment avenues. And then, yeah, like that. Sorry about that. We just select this. Okay, we find out that most of the people in each category which is having the highest count. Okay, so capital appreciation for this equity, uh, maybe this column has come by mistakenly in the data set twice. Okay, leave it. Then reason mutual, reason bonds, reason FD, all of these, the highest count is being given by the investors to these objectives: risk free, assured returns, better return. That means many people invest reason mutual because of better returns, for equity for capital appreciation, into FD for risk free investment and stuff like that. So we should be able to analyze it this way as well. And this is a very easy query. Let's go on to the next. So next I'm going to figure out something based on the duration and the monitoring level that is done based on each investor. Like, what is the count for all of that? So let's just figure it out. Correlation between all of that monitoring frequency and stuff. And we see. Let's just see it. Let's just write. Okay, we can see that clearly for this category. With there are investors who do it mostly based on 16 based on monthly basis. There are 13 of them doing for this category on monthly basis. Some are doing on weekly, but there are hardly few, so we can assume that monthly is the most common way to monitor. And then for more than 5 years it's done weekly. Maybe it's just that more the number of years, more it is important to do it, weekly. More it is important to monitor it weekly and stuff like that. And so the next one would be about which investment avenue to choose based on if you want wealth creation as your, purpose of the investment, So we just write investment avenue by purpose, which is wealth creation. So when we write this down, we just execute it and we get that these all avenues have got, this is the one which has got the most popularity. We are doing descending, we are naming the column as popularity. That means we are counting all the avenues, like we are grouping them, counting which avenue is having wealth creation as a purpose and what is the count of it. So this is having the most count and so on. So you can make some more precise analysis like these. Next, I want to find why we have to use the last column. So I want to use it somehow. I want to know how did they figure out about the news or the mutual fund or the equity, or get to know about it or whatever. So I want to classify it randomly by gender. Female is getting to know from where, male is getting to know from where, and stuff like that. So source classification based on actually I will just prefer a particular source. So if this financial consultant source classification based on gender. So for these, the columns that I will take will be as follows. So I'll just take gender, source, count star as total investors. It's very simple, where source is financial consultants, grouped by gender and source. Why we are taking these two columns? Because for count, whenever there's an aggregate function like count, sum, average, whatever, that time we take the rest of the columns as group by, in the group by. Then only it will be properly done. Otherwise, if you remove even one of these columns, it will not run. So order group by this and order by total investors descending, because we want to know which investors are doing what, and in descending order. So we get to know males are preferring financial consultants more than females. Like that you can do for all the categories and go on. Next, I'll again check select staff from finance data if I can use some other. And here we can see there's a factor column, risk and returns. We want to find out whether what is the purpose, what is the factor of influence behind the investment, what is influencing them to invest. Is it them wanting to take a risk or returns or whatever it is, or is it for them to you know have a locking period where they cannot sell, they have to stay with the investment. So yeah, so these are like the influencing factors associated with the investment that one should be aware of, if you want to figure out. That's also an important information, because it will show why exactly what has influenced them to be in the investment. So we can just take select factor, count stars, where factor in this and this. So if there are two columns, we'll write like this. If there's just one column, uh, there's just one thing that we are interested in, we'll write it just this. But if it's the two of them, then in this and this we can put brackets and so on. So you can also put a bracket of locking period, okay, if you want, and then try group by factor, because of course when you are doing counter you have to do group by factor. You do it, you find this is only one locking period case and rest are like that. So grouping by factor, and that's pretty much it. Next is risk analysis using age group. So I'm just finding out similar factor, whatever factor is there, and I'm just grouping it via age groups. So I'll just find out the count of investors based on the age groups that will be there. Just basically adding an age group factor to this particular one. See, just experimenting and playing around. Again, case when age less than 25, age between this and this, ages end as age group. Then comma factor, then count stars as total investors. We need these three columns and we are ending up getting it from finance data. Then since there is this count, as I told, everything other than the aggregate one will be coming in the group by. So this entirely will come in the group by, but don't include as age group in the group by clause. As we can see, we are only doing till here, end, and then factor, because factor is here. Order by case one, yeah. So again, we are ordering by the age group. So basically, I want 25 to 25, under 25, then 25 to 35, and then so on. So if I check it out, yeah, so what it means to say when I do order, it's finding two before you. It's doing that way if it makes sense for you. Like two comes before you, which is like this. Uh, yeah, this is like one of the last letters in the alphabet. So of course, then afterwards, yeah, so you can just keep experimenting with the data and figure out different kinds of queries. If you want to play around with it more, you can do so, but it was just me trying to help you figure out how can you make precise analysis and do some window functioning, pivot tabling, sum over, that means doing cumulative stuff, finding correlations, finding, without even having the need to make graphs or something like that. So this is how SQL is very useful when you have to, use tables, make analysis, be more precise. You can specifically write the where clause, figure out more. If you want, you can just find out age groups, classify into age groups, classify into, being more than zero, and then, counting. Then actually you can do a lot. You can play around a lot and figure out more about the data set. I figured out more about the data set personally. So please do like the video if it was useful. Thank you so much and have a good day.